During the writing of the Constitution, many women found it disheartening that their rights were not being recognized. All men were said to be created equal, yet women were not included. Abigail Adams famously wrote "Remember the Ladies" to her husband, an attempt to remind him that women should also receive rights and a voice. This was unsuccessful, and women continued to struggle in having a voice in their new country due to their lack of voting rights. In 1848, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, along with Susan B. Anthony and Lucretia Mott, organized the Seneca Falls Convention, which was a crucial part to the campaign for women's suffrage. Elizabeth Cady Stanton was an early and extremely important contributor to the women's suffrage movement, and without her work and leadership, the fight for women's voting rights would have proved to be much more difficult. Born on November 15, 1815, Stanton dedicated her life to fighting for women's rights. She was a main organizer of the Seneca Falls Convention, which launched the women's rights movement, forever changing the role of women in America. She drafted the first organized demand for women's rights, known as the Declaration of Sentiments. This not only demanded the right to vote, but also addressed wages, representation, divorce, and education. This was signed by many suffragists and also by abolitionist Frederick Douglass. Stanton believed that all men and women were created equal, and fearlessly stood by her beliefs. In 1869, she established the National Women's Suffrage Association, increasing the movement's reach across America. In addition to women's rights, she was also an abolitionist and supported the movement throughout its progression. She died in 1902, but worked tirelessly, contributing to the first 3 volumes of the History of Women's Suffrage and publishing a variety of works focused on gender inequalities. Her efforts paved the way for the ratification of the 19th Amendment in 1920. Women having the right to vote is now a normal part of our modern society, but this was not the case until the early 19th century. Due to the work of Elizabeth Cady Stanton and many others, the women's rights movement has progressed a long ways. Though she never lived to see her own right to vote, she paved the way for women's suffrage and should be remembered as a crucial figure in the making of American history.